Ambassador stepped off her ship and took her first breath of recycled station air. Nexus Station was the largest structure she had ever seen. It floated in the empty space between three star systems, a meeting place for hundreds of species. The Ani Imperium had finally earned a seat at the Galactic Council and was here to claim it. Her security chief, Commander, walked beside her. His armored suit made heavy sounds on the metal floor. Behind them, 12 Ani guards followed in perfect formation. Each guard carried plasma rifles and wore battle armor that could stop most weapons. "The human delegation should meet us here," said. He clicked his mandibles together, a sign of annoyance. "They are late." Looked around the docking bay. Hundreds of aliens moved through the space. She saw the tall, insect-like famous warriors who sold their services to the highest bidder. She saw the blob-shaped hegemony merchants floating in their gravity bubbles. She saw species she could not name, all going about their business. Then she noticed something strange. The crowd was moving in an odd pattern. They flowed around a certain area near the main entrance, like water flowing around a rock in a river. Nobody walked through that space. "What is happening there?" asked. Before could answer, saw them. Three figures walked through the entrance and into the empty space the crowd had created. They were humans. She had seen pictures of this species before, but never in person. They looked soft, weak. They had no claws, no armor plates, no visible weapons. The three humans wore simple black uniforms, nothing else. No armor, no guns, no protective gear of any kind. They walked calmly toward the Ani delegation with small smiles on their faces. Made a sharp sound of disbelief. "This is an insult," he hissed. "They send us unarmed guards. Do they think we are not worth proper protection?" Did not answer. She was watching the crowd. The massive ex-mercenaries, each one standing 3 meters tall with razor-sharp limbs, pressed themselves against the walls as the humans passed. A group of traders abandoned their cargo containers and hurried back into their ship. A hegemony diplomat changed direction so quickly that his gravity bubble nearly hit another alien. Everyone was afraid. Everyone was running away. But running from what? 3 soft creatures with no weapons. "Commander," said quietly, "why is everyone so frightened?" Looked around and finally noticed what she had seen. His mandibles clicked rapidly in confusion. "I do not understand. Humans are one of the younger species. They have only been part of galactic society for 200 years. They are not known for military strength." The 3 humans stopped in front of. The one in the middle was a woman with silver-streaked hair and calm gray eyes. She smiled politely and bowed her head slightly. "Ambassador," the woman said, "I am Captain Vance. Welcome to Nexus Station. We are honored to serve as your security detail during your time here." 4 hearts beat faster. She could not explain why. There was nothing threatening about this woman. Her voice was soft. Her body language was relaxed, and yet something deep inside screamed at her to run. "Captain Vance," said, keeping her voice steady, "I notice that you and your team carry no weapons." "That is correct, Ambassador." "May I ask why?" Captain Vance's smile did not change, but something flickered in her eyes, just for a moment. "We find that weapons are unnecessary for our work." "The Ani Imperium is not a weak nation," interrupted. His voice was harsh. "We do not need protection from unarmed guards. This is disrespectful." The 2 humans standing behind Captain Vance glanced at each other. They did not seem offended. If anything, they seemed slightly amused. "Commander," Captain Vance said gently, "I understand your concern. But I assure you, the Galactic Council specifically requested human guards for your delegation. If you wish, you may speak with the Council about changing the arrangement. Until then, we are at your service." Wanted to ask more questions, but an old hegemony diplomat was passing by. He moved slowly, his gelatinous body wobbling in his gravity bubble. When he saw the humans, he stopped. His entire body trembled like water shaken in a glass. He looked at with what she assumed was concern. "You are the new Ani ambassador," he said. His voice was wet and bubbling. "I am. And you wonder why these guards carry no weapons?" Nodded. "It seems strange to me." The old hegemony moved closer and lowered his voice. "You are new to the Galactic Council. There is much you do not know, much that nobody will tell you directly." "Then tell me," said, "why does everyone fear these humans?" The hegemony's body trembled again. "I have been part of galactic politics for 300 years. I have seen wars. I have seen monsters. I have seen things that would break your mind. But nothing frightens me more than human guards. But they have no weapons." The old diplomat made a wet sound that might have been laughter. "Young ambassador, that is exactly why they are terrifying. Other species need weapons. Other species need armor. Humans need nothing at all." He paused and looked at Captain Vance, who was watching them with patient eyes. "You will learn the truth eventually, or you will not survive long enough to wonder." He floated away without another word. Turned back to Captain Vance. The human woman stood perfectly still, her hands clasped behind her back. She did not seem bothered by the hegemony's words. "What did he mean?" asked. "The hegemony are known for their dramatic stories," Captain Vance said. "Please, ambassador, let us take you to your quarters. You must be tired from your journey." It was not an answer. Knew it was not an answer, but something in Captain Vance's tone told her that pushing further would be useless. As they walked through the station, noticed more strange reactions. Station workers stopped what they were doing and watched the humans pass. Some bowed their heads. Others quickly moved away. A group of young aliens, perhaps students, pressed against a window to stare at them with wide eyes. At one point, they passed a security checkpoint. 4 armed station guards stood at the post. When they saw Captain Vance and her team, all 4 guards stood. They did not check the humans for weapons. They did not ask for identification. They simply nodded with deep respect and let them pass. "You are well known here," observed. "Human guards have served on Nexus Station for many years," Captain Vance said. "The station staff are familiar with us." They reached the diplomatic quarters. Captain Vance showed to her rooms, explained the security arrangements, and then excused herself to stand guard outside. That night could not sleep. She stood at her window and looked out at the stars. The hegemony diplomat's words echoed in her mind. The fear in everyone's eyes haunted her thoughts. She had spent her whole life learning to read people. It was how she had become an ambassador. And everything she had seen today told her that humans were hiding something. Something big, something terrible. Captain Vance stood outside her door, unarmed, unarmored, smiling calmly. And somehow, that was the most frightening thing of all. Made a decision. She would learn the truth about humans, no matter how long it took, no matter what the cost. She did not yet understand that some secrets were hidden for very good reasons. And some truths, once known, could never be forgotten. The stars outside her window twinkled in the endless darkness of space. Somewhere out there, something ancient and terrible was waiting, and the humans, for reasons she could not yet imagine, had been waiting for it all along. 3 cycles passed on Nexus Station, attended meetings, signed agreements, and slowly learned her way around galactic politics. Through it all, the 3 human guards stayed with her. Captain Vance never left her side during public events. The other 2 humans, a young man named Tors and an older woman named, took turns guarding her quarters. Watch them carefully. She noticed things, small things. Tors would sometimes turn his head toward a doorway seconds before someone walked through it, would sit perfectly still for hours, not moving, barely breathing, like a machine in standby mode. And Captain Vance had a way of looking at people that made them uncomfortable, like she was reading their thoughts. But nothing prepared for what happened at Ran. The diplomatic summit was held on a space station orbiting a dead planet. Representatives from 40 species gathered to discuss trade routes and border agreements. It should have been boring. It should have been safe. Sat in the main conference hall, listening to a representative argue about shipping fees. Captain Vance stood behind her, hands clasped, face calm. Tors and guarded the doors. Then Vance moved. There was no warning, no alarm, no sign of danger that could see. But suddenly Captain Vance grabbed by the arm and pulled her out of her chair. Down, Vance said. Her voice was flat, empty, wrong. The ceiling exploded. 12 figures dropped into the conference hall. They were hunters, the most deadly assassins in the galaxy. Their species had been bred for killing over thousands of years. They moved faster than the eye could follow. Their claws could cut through starship armor, and they wore cloaking technology that made them nearly invisible. Nearly invisible, not completely. The conference hall erupted into chaos. Aliens screamed and ran. Security guards fired their weapons at shapes they could barely see. They moved through the crowd like ghosts, leaving bodies behind them. Crouched behind an overturned table, her heart's pounding. She could hear the sound of claws cutting through metal, the screams of dying aliens, the useless blasts of plasma rifles hitting nothing. Then she saw something that would stay with her forever. Captain Vance walked into the middle of the chaos. She did not run. She did not hide. She walked slowly, calmly, like she was taking a stroll through a garden. A cloak lunged at her from behind. Without turning around, Vance caught its arm, twisted, and broke it. The crack of bone was louder than the screams around them. She spun and drove her palm into the creature's chest. It flew backward and crashed through a stone pillar. It did not get up. Another appeared directly in front of her, its claws swinging for her throat. Vance stepped to the side, grabbed the creature's head with both hands, and twisted. The sound was wet and final. Could not believe what she was seeing. They were invisible, but Vance could see them. They were fast, but she was faster. They were deadly, but she was something else entirely. Tors joined the fight. Tors moved like water, flowing between attacks, striking pressure points that dropped assassins to the ground. Fought like a storm, her fists hitting with enough force to dent metal walls when she missed and crushed bones when she did not. Counted the seconds. 11 seconds. In 11 seconds, Captain Vance killed 6 hunters with her bare hands. Tors killed 4 more between them. 2 tried to run. They did not make it far. Then it was over. The conference hall was destroyed. Bodies lay everywhere. Smoke filled the air. But the 3 humans stood in the middle of the chaos, barely breathing hard. Their black uniforms were splashed with dark blood, but they had no wounds, not a single scratch. Captain Vance turned and walked back to. Her eyes were strange, flat, empty, like windows with no light behind them. Slowly, as she approached, the warmth returned to her gaze. It was like watching someone wake up from a dream. "Ambassador," Vance said, her voice was soft again, normal. "Are you injured?" Could not speak. Her mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Vance reached down and helped her stand. "The threat has been eliminated. You are safe." Safe? The word meant nothing. Had just watched 3 unarmed humans tear through 12 of the deadliest assassins in the galaxy like they were made of paper. Nothing about this was safe. She finally found her voice. "What are you?" Vance wiped blood from her hands on her uniform. "We are human, Ambassador, just human." "That is not possible, that is not," pointed at the bodies scattered across the floor. "No species can do that, not without weapons, not without armor, not against." "They are dangerous," Vance agreed, "but they are not the most dangerous thing in the galaxy." "Then what is?" Vance did not answer. She simply looked at with those gray eyes, and the ambassador understood. The answer was standing right in front of her. Humans. Humans were the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. The next hours were a blur of emergency meetings and security reviews. Station officials swept the conference hall. Medical teams carried away the dead. Representatives from the attacked delegations demanded answers. Sat in a small room, wrapped in a blanket someone had given her. Her hands would not stop shaking. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Captain Vance moving through the chaos, killing without effort, without emotion, without mercy. A screen on the wall played the security footage from the attack. Watched it again and again, trying to understand what she had seen. The footage showed everything. It showed the dropping from the ceiling, cloaked and invisible. It showed the panic in the crowd, and it showed the three humans doing impossible things. At one point, a blade stabbed directly into Tor's chest. The blade shattered. Tor did not even flinch. He simply grabbed the stunned assassin and threw it through a reinforced wall. The wall was designed to stop starship weapons. It did not stop this body. Commander entered the room and sat beside. He said nothing for a long time. He just watched the footage play over and over. "I owe you an apology, Ambassador," he finally said. "I thought the humans were insulting us by sending unarmed guards. And now," made a sound that was not quite laughter, "now I think they were protecting us. If those guards had been carrying weapons," he shook his head, "I think it would have been worse." Thought about that. She thought about Captain Vance's empty eyes, about the flat, cold voice, about the way the warmth had returned slowly, like something dangerous being put back in a cage. "Why do you think they do not carry weapons?" she asked. "I do not know, but I think you should ask them." Nodded, she stood up and walked to the door. Captain Vance was outside, standing guard as always. The blood was gone from her uniform now. She looked normal, calm, friendly even. "Captain Vance." "Yes, Ambassador." "Why do human guards arrive unarmed?" Vance was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled, but there was something sad in it. "Because weapons wake up things in us that are hard to put back to sleep. Because when we hold a gun, we want to use it. Because we are not what we appear to be, Ambassador, and keeping ourselves calm is the only way we can live among other species." "What are you really?" "That information is classified." "People died today. I almost died. I think I deserve an answer." Captain Vance looked at her for a long time. Then she leaned closer and spoke quietly. "We are something very old wearing something very new. And for your sake and the sake of the galaxy, I hope you never have to see what we look like when we stop pretending to be human." She straightened up and smiled her calm, professional smile. "Now, Ambassador, shall I take you to your quarters? It has been a difficult day." Followed her in silence. She had gotten her answer. She wished she had not, could not let it go. The question burned inside her like a fire that would not die. What were humans? What secret was the galaxy hiding? She was Ani. Her species had built an empire by collecting secrets and using them wisely. Information was power. Knowledge was survival. And right now, she knew almost nothing about the creatures guarding her life. She started searching. Quietly, carefully. She did not want Captain Vance or the Galactic Council to know what she was doing. First, she looked through official records. She found the standard history. Humans had evolved on a planet called Earth. They had developed space travel about 300 years ago. They had made first contact with the hegemony 200 years ago. They had joined the Galactic Council shortly after. The official records said nothing special. Humans were just another young species finding their place in the galaxy. But new official records lied. The truth was always hidden deeper. She spent months calling in favors. She bribed archivists on distant stations. She bought stolen data from information traders. She hacked into databases that were supposed to be secure. Slowly, piece by piece, she built a picture of the truth. The first clue came from an old hegemony scientist who had been part of the first contact team. He was dying of old age in a hospital on a forgotten moon, visited him and asked about humans. "They scared us," the old scientist said. His voice was weak and bubbling. "From the very first moment. We scanned their ship and our equipment went crazy. It could not understand what it was seeing." "What do you mean?" Their bodies, human bodies. Our scanners said they were simple biological creatures, soft skin, weak bones, short lives, but underneath that, the scientist trembled. There was something else, something our equipment could not identify, something that should not exist. What was it? I do not know. They classified all our findings, sealed them away, told us never to speak of it. He grabbed his arm with surprising strength. Be careful, Ambassador. Some secrets protect themselves. The second clue came from a sealed archive on a Galactic Council station. It took 6 weeks to get access. When she finally broke through the encryption, she found a single document. It was titled Origin Assessment, Species 7742, Human. The document was mostly deleted. Only fragments remained, but those fragments changed everything. Not evolved naturally. Genetic markers indicate artificial design. Estimated creation date, approximately 1.2 million years before present. Creator species, confirmed architect origin. Read the words 3 times to make sure she understood. Humans had not evolved on Earth. They had been created, made, designed by the architects. Everyone in the galaxy knew about the architects. They were the ancient species who had built the gate network, the system of portals that allowed faster-than-light travel between star systems. The architects had disappeared 1 million years ago. Nobody knew where they had gone or why they had left. They had simply vanished, leaving their technology behind. And apparently, they had also left humans behind. But why? What were humans designed for? The third clue came from the most dangerous source of all. A black market data dealer sold access to a Galactic Council emergency file. The file was so classified that reading it was punishable by death. Read it anyway. The file was a report from the Council's Secret Science Division. It described experiments performed on human volunteers over the past 200 years. The experiments had tested human abilities under extreme conditions. The results were terrifying. When humans faced deadly threats, their bodies changed. Dormant genes activated. Muscles became stronger. Senses became sharper. Reaction times dropped to impossible levels. Some humans developed the ability to see things that were invisible. Others became resistant to damage that should have killed them. A few showed abilities that the scientists could not explain at all. The report called this process awakening. It was automatic, triggered by danger. The greater the threat, the more powerful the awakening. But that was not the worst part. The worst part was something the scientists called resonance. Awakened humans could sense things that other species could not. They could detect psychic attacks. They could feel dimensional disturbances. They could perceive threats that existed outside normal space and time. The scientists had a theory about why this mattered. The architects had not created humans as colonists or explorers. They had created humans as weapons, living designed to protect the galaxy from existential threats, the kind of threats that came from outside reality itself. The report included a final note from the lead scientist. It said, "The architects knew something was coming, something they could not defeat. They created humanity as a last line of defense. Then they ran. Whatever scared the architects badly enough to abandon the galaxy, humans were designed to fight it." Sat in her quarters and stared at the wall for a long time. Humans were not a young species finding their place in the galaxy. They were ancient weapons hidden in plain sight. They had forgotten what they were during their long isolation on Earth. But the programming was still there, written into their genes, waiting to be activated. The Galactic Council knew. They had known since first contact. That was why they had welcomed humans so quickly. That was why they gave humans important positions. That was why human guards were assigned to protect valuable diplomats. It was not friendship. It was not respect, it was fear. The Council wanted the weapons working for them. They wanted the on their side. Because somewhere, Out there in the darkness between stars, the thing the architects had feared was still waiting. Thought about Captain Vance. She thought about the flat, empty eyes, the impossible speed, the casual way she had killed 12 assassins without breaking a sweat. That was an awakened human. That was what happened when the weapon activated. And Vance was just a guard, just one person. There were billions of humans in the galaxy. Understood now why everyone was afraid. She understood why the massive ex-warriors pressed themselves against walls when humans walked by. She understood why the Galactic Council kept this secret so carefully. If the galaxy knew the truth about humans, there would be panic. Wars would be started. Alliances would crumble. Everyone would either try to control the weapons or destroy them before they could be used. And if the humans themselves decided that they did not want to be used? Shook her head. She did not want to think about that possibility. She had found her answer. She knew what humans were, but now she had a bigger question. What was coming? What had scared the architects so badly that they had created an entire species of weapons and then fled the galaxy? And when it arrived, would even the humans be enough to stop it? She looked out her window at the stars. Somewhere out there, past the edge of the galaxy, in the empty darkness between universes, something was waiting. And the only thing standing between that something and everything she knew was a species of sleeping weapons who did not even know what they were. Made another decision. She would not share this information with anyone. Some secrets needed to stay buried. Some truths were too dangerous to speak out loud. She deleted her files. She erased her searches. She pretended she had never found anything. But she could not delete the knowledge from her mind. And every time she looked at Captain Vance's calm smile, she saw something else behind it. She saw a weapon waiting to fire. She saw a god waiting to wake up. She saw the last hope of a frightened galaxy standing guard outside her door, pretending to be human. Thought she had been careful. She thought she had hidden her research well. She thought no one would ever know what she had discovered. She was wrong. Commander found her files. He was her security chief, after all. It was his job to know everything that happened around the ambassador. When deleted her research, she did not realize that had already made copies. He came to her quarters one evening, his mandibles clicking with excitement. "Ambassador, I have seen what you found. This information is incredible. Do you understand what this means for the Imperium?" Blood went cold. "Where did you get that?" "I monitor all communications from this station. Standard security practice." He held up a data device. "The Ani High Command needs to see this. If we can capture human specimens, study them, perhaps reproduce the architect's work." "No," grabbed his arm. "Listen to me. You cannot send that data. You do not understand what you are dealing with." "I understand perfectly. Humans are weapons, valuable weapons, and the Ani Imperium deserves to have weapons of our own. They will know. The humans will find out. They have ways of watching, of listening, if you send that transmission." Pulled his arm free. "You worry too much, Ambassador. I have already sent it. The data is on its way to our as we speak." Felt her foreheart stop. For a moment she could not breathe. Then she heard a sound that made her stomach twist with fear. Footsteps coming down the hallway, slow, steady, calm. The door opened. Captain Vance stepped inside. Behind her stood Tors, and their eyes were flat, empty, wrong. "Commander," Vance said. Her voice was soft, but there was nothing warm in it. "Please step away from the ambassador." Reach for his weapon. He was fast. All Ani were fast. Tors was faster. One moment was reaching for his gun. The next moment, Tors was behind him, holding his arms. Struggled, but he might as well have been fighting a mountain. Tors did not move at all. "Let me go," hissed. "This is an act of war against the Ani Imperium." "No," Vance said. "This is pest control." She nodded at. The older woman stepped forward and placed her hand on his head. She closed her eyes. His body went stiff. Then his eyes rolled back and he collapsed. Tors let him fall to the floor. Stared at her friend's body. Is he dead? Yes, Vance said. His transmission was intercepted before it reached you. No one else knows what you discovered. You killed him. You killed Ani Commander. He tried to sell weapons-grade secrets to a foreign power. That is punishable by death under galactic law. Vance stepped closer to. The question now is what to do with you. Backed away until she hit the wall. Her hearts pounded so hard she could hear them. This was it. This was how she would die, killed by the same creatures she had been studying. But Vance did not attack her. Instead, the human woman sat down in a chair and looked at with something that might have been respect. You found the archive, Vance said. It was not a question. Nodded slowly. You know about the archive. We found it ourselves 40 years ago. That is when we learned what we really are. Vance leaned back in her chair. Tell me, Ambassador, when you discovered the truth about humans, what did you think? I thought, swallowed. I thought I should be afraid. And are you? Yes. Good, fear keeps people alive. Vance's eyes were warming up now, returning to normal. But I have a question for you. After you found the truth, what did you do with the information? I deleted it. I did not want to cause panic. Why not? You could have used it, blackmailed the council, made deals with other powers, sold it to the highest bidder. Why delete it? Thought about the question. Why had she kept the secret? Because some truths are too dangerous. Because the galaxy is not ready to know. Because, she paused, because I understood why you hide what you are. Vance smiled. It was the first real smile had ever seen from her. That is why you are still alive, Ambassador. That is why we are having this conversation instead of adding your body to Commander's. I do not understand. Let me explain something. Vance stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the stars burned in the endless darkness. We know what we are. Every human above a certain security level knows. We are weapons, created by the architects 1,000,000 years ago. Our purpose is to protect the galaxy from threats that other species cannot handle. The thing the architects feared. Yes, it is still out there, Ambassador. We do not know exactly what it is. We do not know when it will arrive. But it is coming. The architects did not run because they were cowards. They ran because they knew they could not win. They left us behind as a last hope. Moved away from the wall. Her fear was fading, replaced by curiosity. Why are you telling me this? Because we need help. Humanity alone cannot prepare the galaxy for what is coming. We need allies, people who know the truth and can help spread the warning without causing panic. Vance turned to face her. The Council knows about us, but they are too afraid to act. They think if they ignore the threat, it will go away. They are wrong. What do you want from me? You are a skilled diplomat. Your species is known for handling secrets. In the coming years, you will rise in power. You will gain influence. And when the time comes, you can help us prepare the galaxy for war. You want to recruit me? Yes. Looked at the body of Commander on the floor. She thought about everything she had learned. She thought about the terrible truth hiding behind human smiles. What happens if I say no? Vance shrugged. Then you walk out that door and live your life. We will not stop you. We will not kill you. We are not monsters, Ambassador. We do not force people to help us. But you killed. Tried to steal our secrets and sell them. You found our secrets and chose to protect them. There is a difference. Vance walked closer and looked directly into his eyes. We are weapons, Ambassador, but weapons need a hand to guide them. We need friends. We need people who understand what we are and still choose to work with us. And if I join you, what then? Then you become part of something larger than yourself. You help save the galaxy. You learn the full truth about what is coming and what we plan to do about it. Vance held out her hand. It will be dangerous. It will require sacrifices. But when the darkness comes, you will not face it alone. Looked at the offered hand. She thought about her career, her ambitions, her plans for the future. She thought about the Ani Imperium and her duties to her people. Then she thought about the stars outside the window, about the endless darkness between galaxies, about the thing that had scared the architects so badly that they had created an entire species of weapons and then run away. She took Vance's hand. "I will help you," she said, "not because I trust you, not because I am not afraid, but because I understand what is at stake." Vance smiled again. This time there was warmth in it. "Welcome to the war, Ambassador. It has not started yet, but when it does, you will be glad you are on our side." Tors picked up Spotty, cleaned up the room. Within an hour, there was no evidence that anything had happened. Stood at her window and watched the stars. She had made her choice. There was no going back now. Somewhere in the darkness, the enemy was waiting, and was now part of humanity's secret army preparing to fight it. 5 years passed. Rose through the ranks of galactic politics. She became the Ani representative to the Inner Council, the secret body that actually controlled galactic affairs. She learned things that would have driven her mad 5 years ago. Now, she simply added them to the list of terrible truths she carried in her heart. She learned that the architects had not just created humans and disappeared. They had fled. Something had driven them from the galaxy, something so terrible that even a species capable of building gates through space and creating living weapons had chosen to run rather than fight. She learned that the thing was still out there, beyond the edge of the galaxy, in the empty darkness between universes, waiting. She learned that it had a name, though no one liked to speak it. The void, the hunger, the end of everything. And she learned that the signals had started. 6 months ago, listening stations at the edge of the galaxy had detected transmissions. They were not language. They were not communication. They were patterns, mathematical expressions of hunger, the sound of something vast and wrong reaching toward the light. The same patterns the architects had detected 1,000,000 years ago, right before they ran. Sat in the inner council chamber and listened to the reports. Representatives from a dozen species argued about what to do. Some wanted to send ambassadors. Some wanted to build defenses. Some wanted to run, to evacuate the galaxy and find somewhere else to hide. None of them understood. There was nowhere to hide. There was nothing to negotiate. The void did not want territory or resources or slaves. It wanted to eat everything forever. Admiral Vance stood at the front of the chamber. Her hair was completely silver now, but her eyes were the same. Calm, patient, dangerous. "The time for debate is over," Vance said. Her voice filled the room without shouting. "The enemy is here. Gate 7 reported contact 3 hours ago. Something is pushing through from the other side." The chamber erupted in panic. Representatives screamed at each other. Some ran for the doors. Others collapsed in their seats, overwhelmed by fear. Stayed still. She had known this day was coming. She had spent 5 years preparing for it. "Admiral Vance," she said, her voice cutting through the chaos, "what do you need?" Vance looked at her with something like gratitude. "We need the council to stay out of our way. We need access to all gate stations. And we need time." Time for what? Time to wake up. Did not need to ask what that meant. She had seen awakened humans before, but she had never seen what happened when all of them woke up at once. She stood and addressed the council. "Listen to me. I have served on this council for 5 years. I have earned your trust. Now I am asking you to trust me one more time." She pointed at Admiral Vance. "Give the humans what they want. Stay out of their way. And pray to whatever gods you believe in that they are strong enough to save us all." The vote was quick. The council was too scared to argue. And Admiral Vance walked to the observation deck together. Through the massive windows they could see the human fleet arriving, 1,000 ships appearing through gates from across the galaxy. They were not military vessels in the traditional sense. They had no weapons mounted on their hulls. no missile bays, no energy cannons. They did not need them. How many? Asked. Every human who can fight, Vance replied. About 2 billion. We have been preparing for this since we found the archive, training, awakening, learning to control what we are. And the ones who cannot fight. They are evacuating to protected zones. If we fail, Vance paused. If we fail, someone needs to survive. Someone needs to remember what happened here. Watched the ships move into formation. She thought about everything she had learned over the past 5 years. The terrible truth about humans, the ancient threat from beyond the galaxy, the desperate hope that the architect's final creation would be enough. Are you afraid? She asked. Terrified, Vance admitted. I have never been more scared in my life, but this is what we were made for. This is why we exist. The architects did not just give us weapons, they gave us a purpose. And if you fail? Vance turned to look at her. Her eyes were starting to go flat. The warmth was fading, replaced by something older, colder, more dangerous. Then at least the galaxy dies fighting, she said. At least it dies with a sword in its hand. Gate 7 flickered. The massive portal, large enough for entire fleets to pass through, began to shake. Light bent around its edges. The fabric of space itself screamed in protest. Something was coming through. Had imagined this moment many times. She had pictured monsters, armies, ships from another dimension. She had prepared herself for nightmares. What came through was worse. It was darkness, not the absence of light, but something deeper. A darkness that ate light, a darkness that was alive. It poured through the gate like water through a broken dam, spreading across space, consuming everything it touched. Stars went out, stations disappeared. The edge of the galaxy began to die. The human fleet moved forward. Watched through the observation window as the ships flew toward the spreading darkness. She saw the humans inside, standing at their stations, their eyes flat and empty. They were not scared. They were not running. They were hungry. For the first time understood what the architects had created. Not soldiers, not guardians, not protectors. Predators. The darkness had hunted for 1,000,000 years. It had never met anything that hunted back. Until now. The first human ships reached the edge of the void. They did not fire weapons. They did not launch missiles. Instead, the humans aboard them did something could not understand. They reached out, not with their hands but with something else. Something the architects had built into their genes 1,000,000 years ago. The darkness screamed. Had not known darkness could scream, but it did. A sound that echoed through space, through minds, through the fabric of reality itself. A sound of surprise, of pain, of fear. The humans pushed forward. Wherever they went, the darkness retreated. It tried to consume them, but they would not be consumed. It tried to break their minds, but their minds were already something else. Something that belonged to the darkness as much as the light. Admiral Vance stood beside, watching the battle. Her eyes were completely flat now. Her body was still, barely breathing, but her lips moved, whispering words in a language did not recognize. "What are you saying?" asked. "An old prayer," Vance replied. Her voice was different, deeper, older. "The architects taught it to us, written in our blood. We are the line that does not break. We are the wall that does not fall. We are the sword that strikes in the night. We are humanity and we do not yield." The battle raged for hours, then days, then weeks. Watched it all from the observation deck. She saw humans die. She saw the darkness consume entire ships. But for every human that fell, 10 more took their place. And the darkness, for the first time in its eternal existence, began to shrink. On the 32nd day, the void retreated. It pulled back through Gate 7, fleeing into the space between universes. The humans did not let it escape. They followed it through the gate, chasing it into the darkness beyond. When the last human ship disappeared through the portal, finally allowed herself to breathe. Admiral Vance stood beside her, her eyes slowly warming back to normal. She looked exhausted, old, but alive. "Is it over?" asked. "For now," Vance said. "We hurt it badly. It will not return for a long time." "How long?" 1,000 years, maybe more. Vance smiled weakly. "Long enough for us to prepare, long enough for the galaxy to become strong." Looked out at the stars. Many of them had gone out during the battle, but many more still burned. The galaxy had survived. "The Council will want answers," she said. "They will want to know what humans really are." "Then tell them," Vance replied. "Tell them we are the guardians the architects left behind. Tell them we are the sword the galaxy did not know it had. Tell them that when the darkness comes calling, humanity answers the door." She turned and walked away, heading toward the gate where her people were still fighting. Watched her go. She finally understood why human guards arrived unarmed. They did not need weapons. They were the weapons. And the galaxy would never forget it.